Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened the West with nuclear war. In a pre-recorded televised speech, Putin lied, claiming that NATO countries had threatened to use nuclear weapons against Russia. He then said that, quote, in the event of a threat to the territorial integrity of our country and to defend Russia and our people, we will certainly make use of all weapon systems available to us. This is not a bluff. The mention of territorial integrity of Russia there is significant because on Friday, the 4 regions of Ukraine that Russia has seized in this war will begin to vote in a referenda on whether or not to officially become a part of Russia and its territorial integrity. Those referenda are fully expected to be shams. Now, the White House has said the U.S. will not recognize those results, but Russia would. And then these areas, ones that are currently the active front line of Russia's war of aggression, they would become places Putin claims Russia would use nuclear weapons to defend. So there's that. And then there was the other, more immediate escalation Putin announced today. Although he stopped short of declaring a full national draft, today Putin announced what he called a partial mobilization. What that means is mandatory deployment to Ukraine for 300,000 of Russia's military reservists. Estimates now put the Russian troop number in Ukraine somewhere around 200,000. So an influx of 300,000 new reservists could more than double Russia's military presence in Ukraine. That is a major escalation. But it is also a sign of desperation. Last month, before Ukraine's latest big military advance, the Pentagon estimated that as many as 80,000 Russian troops have been hurt or killed in Ukraine, taking them out of commission for this fight. Last week, video surfaced showing the de facto leader of a Russian mercenary group offering Russian convicts the chance to get out of prison in return for a 6-month combat tour in Ukraine. He tells them they have to make the decision in 5 minutes. As outlandish as that sounds, it fits into Russia's strategy so far in this war. Putin has been doing everything he can to keep Russians with any semblance of political power as far from the realities of this war as possible, recruiting soldiers in rural, poor areas. One of the reasons today's announcements shows desperation is because it breaks with that strategy. The Russian legislature literally passed new laws yesterday that make deserting the military punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And now 300,000 Russian reservists are being told they have to go fight. That is going to take the war home for all of those people's friends and families across Russia. And we are already seeing how well the people of Russia are taking this news. Flights out of Russia to countries where you don't need a visa are selling out or they are skyrocketing in price. Inside Russia tonight, more than 1,000 people have been arrested in 38 different cities, all of them protesting against the new military mobilization. As brutal as this all is, it also really shows how much Putin has been backed into a corner. So what comes next? Joining us now is Timothy Snyder, professor of history at Yale University. He's also the author of On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century. And he is just back from a visit to Ukraine, where he met with President Zelensky in Kyiv last weekend. Professor Snyder, thank you so much for joining me. What is your reaction to the assessment that this latest maneuver from Putin is a sign of desperation, that he is, in fact, a man in a corner?
Yeah, militarily, it's a sign that they're losing. He needs these 300,000 men that he imagines will appear in order to build up and defend the line. The Ukrainians are winning the war. The Russians are losing. The Ukrainian counteroffensive, from the Russian point of view, has to be stopped. That's what these 300,000 men are for. Politically speaking, he's between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't want to mobilize the population because the population doesn't want to be mobilized. It just wants a TV war. It doesn't want a real war. On the other hand, there are his own propagandists and his own hardliners who are saying we have to win now. And so he's looking for a middle route. He's saying, well, it's a mobilization, but it's not really a mobilization. It's just a partial mobilization. That's a sign of someone who's feeling pressure from both sides.